I'm Angela Wangeshi. I work with the Institute for Social Accountability, TISA. I also coordinate the Okoa Uchumi campaign. We are here today to try and discuss because we have so many issues around transparency and accountability in public finance management, and that has brought about the issue of the public debt crisis that we are in. So we are here to deliberate and see if we can get options. We have been talking about, complaining about the debt problems that we are in, but we've been challenged that apart from discussing problems, give us options. So that's why we are here today, because Okoa Uchumi is a movement, and a movement that involves citizens from all walks of life. We have organizations, we have private sector, we have trade organizations, we have students, we have youth. So in this movement, we are trying to give options because something needs to be done, because we are not doing very well as a country.
You're talking about options, yeah? What have you seen that now you have reached a decision that now you want options? Because now, when it comes to options, it means that you have given up or you have seen something that is not right. What is that I've seen that you have come up to a conclusion that we need options?
We've not given up, but every time when you're faced with a problem, sometimes it's good to also look for solutions. So what you're saying is we have Parliament that is supposed to oversight Treasury. And in that process, because we feel that they've not been doing their work properly, and that's why we've gotten where we are at the moment. So our options, how we feel, because our government has been talking about empty coffers. We're still borrowing. So some of these options we are looking at, because we are looking at our neighbors, Ghana, Zambia, what is happening. And we are feeling like we have defaulted, because if our debt ceiling was set at 10 trillion, we surpassed that. Now we are not working with a debt ceiling, we are working with a debt anchor, which is 55% of our GDP. Our debt at the moment, we are looking at around 70% of our GDP. So what does that tell you? We've already defaulted. So what we are trying to say is we are trying to give options. And just we are looking at, do we wait until we default, or do we go for a preemptive default? And preemptive default means you go to your creditor and tell them, I think I may not be able to pay. So what can we do about it? Then the other default is where we wait until we are not able to pay, and then we can see what happens. So these are the options we are presenting today. But other than that, of course, we have policies that we feel probably if we looked at the policies and streamlined them, probably they could address not the debt situation, because we're already in a bad space, but probably the drivers of debt. So we are talking corruption, we are talking about lack of transparency, we are talking about Parliament oversight. So these are some of the options we are here to deliberate on and see what works for our country.
You have mentioned about three things that we can be able to do. That is, first of all, you have said that you can be able to be fooled. Haiwezekani. Hatuwezi lipa. And then there is the other one who is a preemptive default, siwezi lipa. And the other one that we have is the radical shift in policy. Yeah? So what is the risk of each one of these? Because all of them sound like we have to risk something. Yeah. What are the dangers of choosing any of those? Let's start with hatuwezi lipa. What is the risk of doing that?
When we say one, especially why we were thinking about that preemptive, we were looking at one, we think there's debt that we are not supposed to be paying because it is odious. Odious means that it is not legally acquired. So we are looking at the SGR debt, for instance. And when you look at the scandal surrounding that debt, it is probably that it went somewhere else apart from the public. We look at the Eurobond that I think we've been talking about, and it has been confirmed that a lot of that money didn't get to our consolidated fund account. So when we say that, we mean, can we audit this debt and see which is legal and which is not? Then we say, for this that is not legal, we are not paying. So we pay what is legally acquired. Of course, some of this, there are risk associated with that. And sometimes, especially when you look at our domestic debt, if we are to default on that, That means we see the retirement funds. So the banking sector will be affected. And I think that is, for all default, when you look at what is happening in Ghana, the citizens will suffer, but just for a while, and then we bounce back to, normality. So these are the options we are looking at. And then when you look at, you see, when you say we change in policy, who is involved? And so we are talking about government, we're talking about parliament, but are they willing? Are they willing to do the things right? So we are really just trying to push, because as citizens, it is our taxpayers' money that is affected. It is our taxes that they come for. It is the services that we're not getting as citizens, and we need to do something. So we cannot just sit and wait. We need to be proactive and push for some of these solutions.
How can citizens be able to contribute in the journey of this, now deciding about how their debt is going to be managed?
Our spokespeople, our gatekeepers, is Parliament, and so they are the ones who represent us. So our role really is to push Parliament, because they can do something about it, apart from just sitting and deciding on things. There's public participation. So when we air our views, they should be captured. Recently, I think everyone is aware that we are talking about a finance bill that was passed contrary to what the citizen wanted. So citizens really need to push for that. We are trying to just see how the government gets to listen to the citizen, and really, for example, if we are taking a loan, who is it for? What is it? What is it doing? Is it benefiting the citizens? So if we say like Eurobond money didn't get to the public coffers, what does that mean? It means that someone else benefited from the money, but the citizen is paying for that. So it is a responsibility of every citizen, because we need to call out our government. We need to call out Parliament for not oversighting the Treasury and the executive. So it is so unfair that they sit together and collaborate in some of these deals, and that's why the citizen is aggrieved, and the citizen is the one who elects these parliamentarians. So we are calling Parliament. They are our representatives, so they should really just work for the benefits of the citizen, and not for the benefit of the executive or any other party that is involved.
As we conclude, what is your call for action today, as now you launch these particular conversations?
Our call today, we are trying to develop a national economic recovery strategy. And in this strategy, apart from providing the public debt options, it also now addresses the drivers, addresses corruption, mismanagement of funds, misallocation of budgets, unbalanced budgets, lack of transparency and accountability in management of public funds, and especially lack of public or ignorance, or let's say just lack of public participation. So that's our call today, where we are calling all stakeholders on board. We need to push this strategy because we need to do something about our economy. We are crying about the high cost of living. We are crying about, the shilling is weakening against the dollar. And, some of these things, they have solutions. But because it is the citizen who is affected, they really just have to wake up and do something.
Tunaona, tunasikia na tutabonga. The voice.